Australia. Firstly, thank you everyone for being here and talking about men's issues. I've noticed some of the conversations going around and community is key, and to see men talk in this environment to be proactive about what I'm about to discuss is terrific, because situational distress is the main reason for male suicide. A lot of us all talk about mental health, and mental health is a very, very key aspect to suicide, but prevention is the key. And when our men and boys are struggling, we find that they're struggling for four key reasons. Those reasons are family relationship breakdown, loss of access to children, support, and financial issues. And us older men that are in this room would all understand that they are the moments in your life that we struggle the most. With our younger men, they don't have facilities, so because of situational stress and mental health and the difference, when these men go to hospital, they don't have a diagnosable mental health condition, and that's why we have a difference. To let you guys know how serious the male suicide epidemic is, we lose 9 a day. 7 of them are men and boys. So 3/4 of all the Australian suicides are men and boys. We hear the prevention agencies that get $450 million in grants every year that are there to reduce this number, but fail. That's why every year since 2022, I've taken 2,500 shoes to Canberra Parliament House. Me and my team, for free, have laid down the 2,500 soles, and we've challenged our politicians to walk out the front and tie a ribbon to the shoes. And the last month, we've decided to take this out into the community, and this is the second time we put the display on. We put this display on for the Victorian Men's Shed out on the oval out there. What happens at the shoe display? In the morning, from 9:30 to 10 o'clock, we give families an opportunity to lay down pairs of shoes with a photo on a note. And then throughout the day, any member in the public grabs a ribbon, walks through the shoes, spends a moment, finds a shoe to tie a ribbon to. Then we ask people to take photos, and if you have social media, raise awareness. There's two things that are standout. Firstly, we had a Minister for Women implemented in 1976. That's 50 years ago. It's now 2026. We still do not have a Minister for Men and Boys in our country. Some people don't realise the seriousness of that, but it's serving our women well. But they're breaking 5 laws in our parliament. They know it, and they only know it through the effort we put in with the shoes. I launched a proposal with State Minister for Men and Boys Health and Welfare in 2019, and backed that up with the first independent male suicide report done in Australia's history. I did that in 2022, and now, as we can see, the male suicide topic is now starting to ripple into our communities. Our men's health and welfare movement is terrific, but they can't get any funding. We talk $450 million that 3 major agencies get to reduce this number, and haven't been able to reduce this number for 20 years. Our government needs to seriously look at that, and we try to do it in the most polite way possible. The next step that we've taken, which is a report which you can have a look at the table, we've got a 2026 male suicide submission. We're asking for 3 key factors, and only 3 things, and those 3 things is a Minister for Men and Boys Health and Welfare at state and federal level across our country. The second thing is for all the prevention agencies to be able to get their funding, they must have a clause for men and boys health and welfare to be able to receive their funding. And they must acknowledge situational stress. We can never, ever reduce any situations of mental health without dealing with the underlying situation. So being proactive with our situations is important. So that's the second part. And the third part that we all need is for situational stress facilities. This is what I'd like to talk to you guys about today. All the men's sheds across our country, I was lucky enough, I was up for an award for the Australian Men's Health Forum in October last year. And I walked into the room and there was a lot of suits, and like I said, I'm sort of, this isn't me. And there was a lot of suits, I didn't feel really comfortable. And then over in the corner, there was a few flannelette shirts and that, and it was the men's sheds table. And they made me feel really comfortable. To meet Red from the Shed from Western Australia. And we spoke, I'd say, for an hour and a half after that event about, some of the key factors. Some of you might know about Red from the Shed over in Western Australia. She actually recently, just last year, did a full compiled report on all the men's sheds to find out the demographics of what was going on. And something that was there that we spoke about in depth was the fact that in the men's sheds, that 80% of the members are over 60, and we spoke about an opportunity that maybe that, you know, we have an opportunity of situational distress facilities. You guys have drop-in centres, situational distress facilities right now. And I believe that if we look at situational distress, and you guys think about it from that perspective, rather than just a mental health issue, because when we think mental health, we think suicide, don't we? We need to think situational distress. You guys have the capacity to jump into this river and start pulling these boys out. So that's not something we spoke to Red about, and since then Red put me in contact with young man Mark, and I'm here now talking about situational distress. So it's a credit out of all those people at the Australian Men's Health Forum. You know, the one group of people that took me under their wings was the Men's Shed, and I'd just like to, on the back of wings, if you all give yourself a round of applause, because I'm very proud of that. I can talk about this issue all day with the studies and research I've done, but you know, male suicide's been 70% of all suicides for 40 years. This isn't on, it's got to stop. You know, we're losing 2 women a day, and that's horrible. But we're losing 1 man or boy every 3 hours. That's how serious it's become. So, if we think situational distress, I hope we can all take something out of that. But just 2 ideas I've got for every men's shed. I know that organisations, men's sheds, you're all capable of doing what you want for your own shed. My first suggestion, maybe we could have a buddy system at each shed. So once a month, we ask older guys to put their hand up as a buddy system. And you can work out your own age groups. These are only ideas, we're only talking. It's just an idea so we can reach down and aim for maybe one week or 1 month, 18 to 25-year-olds, and have a talk or a topic. To reach those types of people, we need to try different things. Some ideas, you just think outside the box. Things like smash rooms, or go to your local, tip, find the broken tallies and things like that, and bring them into an overlord and let them hit it. Something that's going to get them to come to you. We know sports and recreation work well, but these people, some of these people can't even have a drink of water in the morning, and that's the first step to making a difference. Making the bed can make a difference, but it all starts with taking that one step. And to stop suicide, we need to take that step first. We need to reach down to these people who are struggling and show them there's somewhere to go. And you guys have the capacity by reaching down. Not only that, like I said, you know, a lot of the guys, the majority of you guys are all over 60, so you all have the capacity and you all have the knowledge of how it feels to be broken and what you felt at that time. And just me being able to express that to a room of people that have the capacity to jump in the river and catch some of our men and boys is, for me, that's exponential. My work's getting there. We've got a quarter of the Senate all standing behind us for a Minister for Men and Boys Health and Welfare. Last year when we laid the shoes down, we had 27 members of Parliament come out and totally us. So, you know, the conversation has begun. And but the sad part is I had to twist their arms. I had to go and find the laws they were breaking. 5 equality laws go to this extent and be the one person to put this report in when I've got all these people trying to do things. And you know, the position I'm in, it's a privileged position that I can never leave, and I've always been doing this. Every International Wednesday we'll lay the shoes down on Canberra Parliament House lawn. And you know, I'll never stop fighting, and I hope that you know, you can see my passion, you can feel it, and I hope it ripples onto you guys, and you guys can start looking at yourselves as an opportunity to become a situational distress unit. Thank you all for your time.
No, but any questions they'd like to throw this way? It is a difficult subject, we recognise that, but it's also really important that we actually get out there and talk about it. And this is one of the things when we were talking about today, again, similar to earlier when we were talking, it's the shared values and reasons for existence. And this is Sheds is about social inclusion, and they do it really well. And we've had, for many years, we've been saying, we go and visit Sheds all the time, and in every shed you'll meet someone who said that shed saved their life. So, you know, use our living definition of why this, you know, of getting up there and being proactive. But as we know, it needs more. And anyone who would like to ask Paolo a question, He's probably got a 15 more radio interview. I think he's done a half dozen already.
So on that, did you know we're actually not saving any lives? That's the truth about suicide. At the moment, the suicide rate is never declined. So we hear this a lot, and it's frustrating, but loving, that we hear this. So what you're saying there is true, but the suicide rate is increasing. So just last year we had a rise of 110 men and boys. We had a decline of 18 women. In 2022 we had a rise of 105 suicides overall. 97 were men and boys. So that was in 2022 that happened. We had 8 women rise, 97 men and boys. No one noticed. None of our, and it's, for me, I don't believe that we're really saving lives until we start dropping those numbers. Women got 887 suicides last year. Men, 2,529, 3 quarters. When it's increasing, I really believe we're not actually saving lives. So for someone in my position, the topic is, someone in my position, I think we need to do a hell of a lot more work just to get it down to under 2,000. We would need to be saving 2 lives a day, every day in our country, just to get under 2,000. To get to the female suicide rates to be on balance with them, we have to save 5 males every single day. So, yeah, I don't see it as saving lives.
Best way.
Is it isolation or is it peer pressure or the above?
I think
It's all of the above. With the peer pressure, just to add to peer pressure brings isolation, so they're sort of together. Out in the community, we find that in the rural areas, the farmers and these types of things, why are they not being able to get assistance, we wonder. It's because in the cities, there's more access to services. So when that situational stress comes up, or the relationship breakdown, they go to Relationships Australia, or, you know, we can find those services and supports easier. Out here, we don't have it out in the community. So also, there is still that stigma of having it really tough. And if you're a strong farmer, and something I hear a lot actually from men is, you're the man of the family, and if they see you're broken, you would believe our kids and their partner's going to be broken. So we have to stay strong. So we sort of self-isolate. It depends what side of isolation, but it is all of the above, yeah.
Thank you.
Force here now,
Are there any warning signs that are recognisable? Helmet guys heading that way. We have one guy who used to come to the shed who walked around the street and casually isolated.
One of the major signs is, of course, alcohol and drug abuse. We notice a rise in that. So, but isolation is the exact point. Basically, our mates just answered that one question. Because we don't find support, we don't think support's there. Even when we reach out to help, we can't find it. We're going to isolate. So it starts with isolation, withdrawal. Yeah, 100%. But usually with blokes, you'll notice them do something, and it's whether it be isolation. So go to the pub more often, miss a game of golf, offer them to go fishing, they're not coming anymore. You know, they're the signs. So yeah, they do stand out. We do see them.
One last question over here.
I want to know those 4 key points that what you're supposed to up. And secondly, I talk to a lot of farmers, people in the community, and farmers, people are stressed. But the farmers that I talk to, all of a sudden come along to the issue, they're a little bit reluctant to actually join the position because they've got farm-owned business, lots of those things, and there's ups and downs in the rural community. Whereas generally in the downs, they get more stress. They're very reluctant to come and join. I've got 3 got 5 farmers in the membership. We've been talking about, stuff that goes on in the community. But I've just,
I'll answer the second part first.
yeah.
So maybe we could put an idea there. So when that farmer's doing that, maybe you could have a meeting at their place. Just an idea. Or organise the 2 farmers that are in that local area to do something together. So you build that. So that way, not just having them come to the shed, at least till they've got that unit of the shed outside the shed. So maybe something we could do there. But the first part, which is really important, thank you for asking that. So I'll give you the data, if anyone wants to write this down, the exact data, it'll come straight from my head. So last year, family spousal relationship breakdown. 43.1% of all male suicides. It was a leading contributing factor. The second one is family and relationship breakdown. Family and relationship breakdown is present in 33% of all male suicides. Loss of access to children, court and financial all come under the next sector. There's no actual number for that because they all link back to the substance use. So you'll find that with this issue, over 60% of the men that have taken their own lives have had an acceleration in substance use at some stage prior to this. I can give you some other data. In men, you'll find there's a myth. There's a big myth actually. It's so that's the data on the four main reasons: family relationship breakdown, loss of access to children, court and financial issue. We hear this a lot that women's suicide attempt more often. Now there's a difference. So self-harm and suicide are two totally different things. You'll find in our women, when they self-harm, they'll use two means, which is cutting and self-medication through prescription medication. Whereas in men and boys, we don't do that. We do it differently. We act out. We can have second-hand suicide, which is drinking ourselves to death. Death by misadventures and other self-harm in men and boys, where we play up and make those mistakes, drink too much in a pub, throw our money at the pokies. So there's a stark disparity. We're showing our government this and that they understand now, because what happens when a woman self-harm, they're reported in hospital because they need an ambulance for their cutting or that. Whereas when a male self-harm, it's not noticed because it's repetitive behaviour in our society. So our self-harm is just as much as women, if not more. And I'd like to end with something. I notice there's a few women in the room, and I know a lot of us are really serious about reducing domestic violence against women in our country. Make one point. Are we ever going to reduce domestic violence against women on any issue facing women at the hands of men without education, support, services, and situational distress facilities? We're really going to stop domestic violence. We need a Minister for Men, Boys, Health and Welfare to get to the bottom of this bloody problem.
I've got a really very interesting one. I've got a stepson at home, and been working with him. I've been married to his mother for the last 13 years. Been working with a young fella for a while. He didn't do school very well, so he got his forklift license. He's had, since he left school, 7 jobs. Every 6 months, he gets put off. And yeah, he won't admit it. And the mother's on my page. He's just lost the best job you'll ever get at Bunnings Trade Centre. We managed to get him in there and back in the east. And he's a good boy, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, likes to go to the gym. Yeah. So, yeah, and when he's not at work, well, now he's not working, he's not working because he's been put off this last week. I'm very disappointed because it's such a good job, but I can sense, and no one's admitting it to me, there's depression there, and he isolates. And if his brothers and sisters are coming over, he gets a bit ratty, because he doesn't want anyone. He says to his mum, "Is anyone coming over?"
There's something there. What is it happening against it? Firstly, acknowledging that situational stress, so you must acknowledge that. There's other things we can do something really good. Just for you.
Follow microphone, mate, so we can hear you from the back. Sorry, just going to just
Something we've seen, so I've been at this for 5 years, something that really, really works for men and boys is something that's called 9-dimensional breath work. And it's amazing, it really is. It's a full out-of-body experience. So when we get a dose of DMT 2 times in our lives, it's when we're born and when we die. And that's the only time we get that dose of DMT. And it's when we see the light, it's when we see all that stuff. This 9-dimensional breath work, you go, there's a lady in the back who can explain it a lot better than me. Basically what it is you breathe yourself, you lie down on a mat, you have headphones on, subliminal beats, and you're taking on a journey. You breathe really hard. The harder you breathe, the bigger dose of DMT you get. After 45 minutes, you're told to take a deep breath and hold it in your core, and then release. And you You do that twice, and at the end of it, you just slide there for 10 minutes, and it's the most, oh, you can't explain it. You know you've been on a journey. Nine-dimensional breathwork's coming up everywhere. Another thing you guys can maybe incorporate into your facilities to get guys around. So maybe for a young guy like that, just say, hey bro, I'm going to do something different. Come and do this for me. Get him to release that trauma, and then from there you might start to find out what's going on. Easier than speaking to a doctor or saying, mate, there's something wrong with you. Getting him to do the breath work, say, I want to try this, can you support me?